Welcome to Inspired Living with Carrie Murphy, the podcast, where as your host each and every week, I am going to inspire you and empower you to share your message and step into that big vision you see for yourself. I'll be bringing you celebrity interviews, influencer insights, and my personal tips from decades as an on-camera talent, TV host, media expert, and entrepreneur, so you can build a brilliant seven-figure brand. Because when you're inspired, you inspire others. So let's go.
You can create anything that you desire. Do you believe that? Because if you at all resist that belief, you need to listen to this inspired living interview with Myoshia Boykin Anderson. They say she went from nowhere to tech millionaire, growing up in Houston with a mother who was a drug addict and finding herself as a single mom. She was forced with really starting a business out of pure determination when she found out one day that her job that she felt was her forever job was ending. In this interview, she shares with us her journey, the decisions she's made. She talks a lot about her faith and how she believes that God really always has a greater vision for our life, and really what has made her the incredibly successful tech entrepreneur that she is today. She is the CEO and founder of Antech, and this is her second company, and it is an award-winning company and the leading IT consulting company in the country. So get ready. Get ready to believe bigger, to dream bigger, and to step into new possibilities with this inspiring interview with Myoshia Boykin Anderson. Myoshia, I am so excited to have you on Inspired Living today. Thank you for being with me.
Oh my goodness, I'm excited about us spending some time together today, Carrie.
I'm telling you what, it's about time we spent some time together. We are like 1 degree in all aspects of life. And I was talking to you before this podcast. I'm like, how have I not hugged you in person yet?
I know, right? It seems unreal because I feel so connected, right? I feel so connected to you. So the fact that we have not been able to embrace physically yet I mean, it's just crazy. But you know what? We're going to make it happen.
That's right. It's coming. It is coming up. Well, I have to tell you, Myoshia, everyone who knows you, it is one of those things where you know this already, but you have raving fans all over because of just the woman that you are and your story. I mean, you really are the epitome of the American dream. I love it. It's starting from nowhere and to tech millionaire. I mean, that's a pretty big gap, Myoshia. So, can you take us back? And I know you've probably shared this so many times, but I know that there's a woman listening or watching today that needs to hear this so much that she might be in a place she considers nowhere and is trusting God, the universe, to show up and pour in and deliver. So take us back before you were tech millionaire with this incredible company, award winning. Where were you?
I was here in Houston, Texas. I am a native Houstonian, born and raised, a rare breed these days. But
Right.
but I grew up here in Houston. I grew up in an area of Houston called Third Ward, which is it's gained notoriety as of late. Um, when we think about the state of our country and just all that, all that's going on, I haven't shared with a lot of people, but I grew up in this area called Third Ward. I actually went to school with my childhood friend George Floyd. We actually
Wow.
from elementary all the way to high school. I say that because it really speaks of where our stories start and how important it is to know that no matter where your story started, we possess this amazing power to redirect and shift our trajectory. So I was raised in Third Ward. I say I was raised in a 6 block radius. We were poor, for all intents and purposes. My mother was on drugs when I was growing up. So for me, my life started really fast, really fast. I had
Yeah,
to grow
yeah,
up fast. I was, sort of voluntold that I needed to care for my siblings. And so it was very, people talk about humble beginnings, but it was very much that for me.
yeah. So you didn't really have any sort of mentorship or leadership as a young woman, and especially, being a woman of color, being a woman in business at all, let's face it, it's not easy, but you had like two minorities, right? And that you now have like really charged ahead. What was the catalyst for you, Myoshia? Like, what do you feel it was that got you to this place now? Because that is, for a lot of people, that is the American dream, to start out with beginnings like that and then create this multi-million dollar business that you have now.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I truly believe in all of my heart that it's all because God loved me before I even loved myself. Um,
Okay, wait a second. Wait a second. Someone needs to hear that today.
yes, yes,
That
I
God loves you
literally.
before you even love yourself.
Or
Yeah.
because as you can imagine, for a lot of us, it takes a while for us to get to a point where we truly love ourselves. We go through life, and unfortunately, there are women out there who never reach the point of truly loving themselves. But even for that woman, and she was I, even for me, before I reached the point where I embraced all of who I was, I see God's hand over my life even before I recognized that it was him, right?
Mhm.
I felt it. And as I look back over my story, there is no doubt that that is truly what was occurring, that God literally, had his hand of protection over my life, his hand of provision over my life. And he was able to use this catalyst of technology, to kind of spark this journey and that I've been on. But yeah, I truly say it was God. And then secondarily, was the technology. Technology became such an outlet for me. And I didn't realize
In
at the
what
time.
in what way, Myoshia? Like, what way was
Yeah.
technology an outlet for you? Because for most women, like,
I'll tell you,
tech is not something that we're and this
oh
is
my
such a
goodness.
stereotype, right? This is why I'm so glad that you're on the show, because we need to change the stereotype that technology is not for women and that we can't excel in that space.
Exactly. Or that it's only for the big boys, right? That it's a
Right.
that it's a big boys game, or that it's so intimidating, that we just, "Oh, I don't do tech," right?
Right. Right.
But I'll tell you, for me, and it's not something that I knew all along. So I can't even sit here and say, "Oh, well, I'll tell you," because I didn't realize it until I was much more mature and at living in this space of awareness, right? But what I know to be true today is that technology created this space that I could control. As I mentioned, my mama was on drugs,
Yeah.
and we grew up poor. It was, just all of that. And I couldn't, even as a young girl, I couldn't control any of that. But when
Sure.
I was introduced to technology in my junior year in high school, I found myself in front of this computer with full control. I was given problems that I can solve. I was
Mm.
given things that were broken that I could fix. And I realize now that that was my outlet. That was
Yeah.
my outlet. That was the time where I could feel good about myself. When I was able to solve that problem or crack that code, I was able to feel
Literally.
myself,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
literally crack the code. Um, and I'm still cracking the code today, Carrie.
Yes, you
It has
are. Yeah.
become, it has become, part of who I am.
Mm. You know what I love that you said, Myosha, is that so many times we find ourselves in a place where we get to look back at really God's provision or look back at the dots, all of them that all line up. Like at the moment where, you're this young girl in these circumstances, but now as this woman that has this tech company, like you look back and don't you see how everything was already connected? And I find that in my own life. Like I couldn't have dreamt this life up. I did have big dreams. I always have. But when I look back, I too, accredit the grace of God for just all the dots. Like I couldn't have planned that failure. That failure led right into this and this was so great. And I'm not surprised, but I'm always amazed.
Yes, yes. You put it so well. Never surprised, but oh my goodness, the amazement that we
Yeah.
get to experience every day, right? Like
Mm.
every day there's something
Yeah.
new that allows us to recognize that it's so much bigger than us. And to your point, it's the failures, but the failures helped create the breadcrumbs that got us
Yes.
here.
Yes.
It helped create
Yes.
those dots that we can now connect and form this beautiful picture, right? So
Mhm.
so yeah, it's just, when we're able to literally sit back and look at our situations in that light, then we find ourselves not being just really taken aback by the failures that we experience, that we're going to experience.
Right. And that one of those was kind of the catalyst for you starting your business. Now, most people would say Friday the 13th is a day that you want to stay away from. Like, I'm not going to go there. But you actually celebrate Friday the 13th. Can you tell me why?
Oh my goodness, Carrie. So it's so amazing. So I'll take you back a little bit. I'll take you back to February of 1998.
Okay.
I am at work. I'm on the job that I thought was it for me. Like I
Mhm.
was a young single mother. I was taking care of my daughter, providing this great lifestyle for her. I was doing what I love to do, which is technology and system implementations. And I was working for this company that I really enjoyed working for. And one day, my manager came into the office and she said, "I have news for you." And I was like, "Okay." She said, "We decided to close the office."
Not
It,
the news you were hoping for or
not the
expecting.
news. It
No.
literally knocked me off my rocker. Like I had to excuse myself and run in the restroom and just bawl my eyes out.
Oh. Yeah, as
But
a single mom, I've been
as a
there
single
too. I mean,
mom,
that's a lot of stress. Yeah.
I was making good money, but I was living far above my means. I was living paycheck to paycheck, and I was this single mother. So that was
Yeah.
new. It literally devastated me. But I tell you, in that restroom, I remember just literally bawling, mascara running, the whole nine. But I remember saying, "Girl, we got to get ourselves together." Like literally
Mhm.
having this conversation with myself. So I washed my face, got myself together, went back, and what I thought I knew about corporate America was that companies made these decisions all the time, but it was always like, oh, we're going to close the company 3, 6, 9 months next year or whatever. She said today.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Today.
so there was no notice.
There was no notice. So, and then she had nerve to ask me to help her clean the office. But anyway, I did it. But I'll tell you, this was in February of 98. I had not been to college. I didn't have any business acumen. I had never been formally trained. But what I determined that day was that nobody was going to have that control over me anymore. Nobody would be able to
Mm.
determine where I would get my next dollar from.
Yeah,
So
you know what, Myoshias, I just want to stop there for a second because I think in the last year or so, there's a lot of people that have transitioned out of corporate or have found themselves in a new place. And we talk about security. Like people think security sometimes is having the job, but security really is being able to create the job whenever you want it, right? To
yeah,
me, that's security.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So my first course of action was to go find another job, and I did that. But what I also did was, before I left the office that day, I printed a list of the 63 clients that I served while I was there at that company. And I started calling each of those people, because what I realized was, yeah, this was a devastating situation for me. But what I also thought about was that not only was I going to be out of a job, but all 63 of those clients were going to be without a service provider.
Mm,
So I didn't know how, but I said, I'm going to call each of them, because I knew I was good at what I did. I didn't
yeah.
know, anything about starting a business or anything, but I had a skill set that people needed, and I knew that. So I started calling them, all 63. Hey, it's Myoshia. I know they closed the office, which is probably putting you in a bad position. Do you have any projects that you need help with? And
Well,
all
that's smart. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Opportunity. That's a lesson. Like if we had to like sum up our conversation with lessons, my story is reeked with all types of life lessons. And the first one is that in every situation there is opportunity. So the
Mm.
opportunity here was for me to approach these companies in this manner. But every one of those 63 phone calls, Carrie, resulted in no.
Ay.
Every last one of them said no. But rather than feel dejected and just tear the paper up, my response back was, it's okay. Do you mind if I gave you a call next month? So, lesson number two, resilience. Life,
Yes.
life is full of no's. And if you haven't experienced a no yet, keep living. Keep
Keep walking. Just you keep going. Yep.
so lesson number two is
Wait a
resilience.
second. Myosha, I just love that you said that too, that you could have just said no. It's like, okay, thank you. But instead, you said, okay, great. Can I call you next month? And
Yeah.
how many of them said yes?
Not all of them, but some of them did.
Okay.
So that became my list for March, right?
Yeah.
And I would always pick a Friday to make these phone calls. I would make the phone calls every Friday. So in March, my list was a little bit smaller, but I made the same call. I still got all no's. And my response was still the same. Do you mind if I gave you a call next month? I did this every month, Carrie, from February until November, month
Wow.
and month of no's. Every single call resulted in no. And my response was always the same.
So, Myosha, at that point, did you ever think, you know what? I'm just getting a lot of no's. This must not be God's plan for me,
Oh,
or
oh
that
yeah.
this just must not be what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, what made you keep making those phone calls? Because that's a lot of months of no's.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But I tell you, I had,
And we always say that, like, show me a sign, right?
yeah,
And you're like, I'm getting a sign, but I don't like the sign. And I think this
yeah,
is really important for entrepreneurs to hear because we get a little twisted with, oh my gosh, I'm getting no's as a sign to stop moving forward. So this is why I love your story so much.
yeah. We throw the towel in too early.
Yeah.
I mean, because literally, to your point, when you look at it, I could have very much said, okay, God, this must be your way of telling me that I
Yeah.
need to be moving in another direction. But I knew I had a 6-year-old that was depending on me, and every decision I made was with her in mind. And
Yes.
that's what kept me going, because I felt like it must be something. So here we are, November, and it is Friday the 13th, and I am about to take my lunch break. But before I took my lunch break, I went into the little huddle room. We had these little huddle rooms where visiting attorneys would come and they would have a place to squat for the day, right? So I
Mhm.
went into one of the huddle rooms and I started my list. Now, mind you, now the list had dwindled down, as you can imagine, because throughout the
Sure.
months, some people were like, no, don't call us anymore, right? But there were some that just said, yeah, just call us next month, right? So here I am, I'm going down the list, Carrie, and I got to the seventh one. So that means I had already received six no's that day.
Right.
I'm on my
Talk
seventh.
about resilience. Okay, this is resilience, my friends.
Work that list, ladies. Work
That's
that
right.
list.
Work it.
So I called, and I'll never forget, and her name was Naomi. I'll never forget. Hey Naomi, it's Myoshia with my monthly call. Hey, how did your grandson do in the soccer game last month? Whatever, right? Because by this time I've had a whole lot of conversation.
You've had quite a few months of phone calls.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I said, do you have any projects that you need help on? And this lady said, as a matter of fact. So, lesson
Mm.
number three, ladies, your answer is not going to always be a flat out yes. You
Oh,
need to
yes.
listen for the as a matter of fact. Literally, on those 5 words, Carrie, I started my first business. It wasn't even a yes, but it was that little piece that I needed. It wasn't a no.
Yeah, it was better than a no,
It was
right?
better than a no, but it wasn't
Yeah.
quite a yes. But it was enough for me. So I literally hung up with her. I didn't need like I literally my head was spinning. I
I was going to
left.
say, after all the months of making these
Yeah,
phone calls, will you
yeah.
please tell us how that moment felt for you?
Oh my goodness. I just remember going back telling my supervisor I was taking my lunch break. I remember being in my car. I'm heading downtown so that I could pay $10 for my DBA. When you get the little
Doing business as, yes.
$10. But on my way there, Carrie, all I could think about was, I don't even know what I'm going to call it. Like what? Like I didn't even have a name. Like I hadn't planned that far in advance. I was so accustomed to getting no's that I hadn't even planned for when I would get a yes.
But you
So
knew it was coming. You knew it, or else you wouldn't have made those phone calls. So this is the difference between like trusting your intuition and trusting what you're hearing on the outside, because those
yeah,
are two different things,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I literally I went downtown. I thought of the name on my way there. It was Boykin Business Solutions. I'll never forget it. It was a little play on acronyms because in the tech space back then we had databases and they were called BBS, right? And those were the acronyms of this new business, Boykin Business Solutions. I went downtown, got my DBA. I went back to my job. I quit. So now
Did you quit? Did you quit right away, or did
I,
you
I
give yourself a little runway?
I quit right away. I said, listen, if they could come in and tell me no at a drop of the dime, I am getting ready to bet on myself. Now, mind
Ah.
you, I'll say the next lesson, ladies, you may not want to do that. Make sure you have a plan.
Next lesson is you may not want to quit the minute you get
Yeah,
your first
yeah.
client. But
Make
yes.
sure.
But I
But
think Myosha, I think it worked out okay for you.
oh my goodness, oh my goodness, here we are 23 years later, as an entrepreneur.
23 years later.
23 years later. Yes, yes. So, yes, Friday the 13th is a very special day for me.
I just love that story. Myosha, someone had to hear that today because they've been hitting up against some no's, but they know that they provide value. They know that their vision is powerful. They believe in God's provision in their life and what is next. So thank you for sharing that. So let's get a little nitty gritty. Tell us what you do and how you help companies and businesses.
So I've kind of split my company out. So when we first started, our whole focus was Fortune 500. It's the world that I come from. It's the
Hmm.
world that I was able to build my skill set in. So corporations are my primary client for my Antec Solutions company. And what we do is we work on system implementation projects for large companies. We do a lot in the healthcare IT space. We actually have,
Mhm.
we've developed this very unique niche in the healthcare IT space, but we've done projects for some of the large oil and gas companies. I'm in Houston, so oil and
Right, right.
gas, waste for waste management, and all of those, right? Even for Baylor College of Medicine. So we serve our corporate clients on the Antec Solution side. But what I realized maybe about 5 years or so ago is that I wanted to bring that same level of value and expertise and excellence that I was offering to corporations to small and medium businesses. So we started a company, a division really of Antec Solutions. It's called Antec X, and it
Mm.
is us bringing technology solutions for small businesses. We talked about, the notion that technology is not for us and all of that. So we just help small and medium businesses implement some of the tools that they are purchasing out there, their CRMs and all of these other systems. We help implement that for them, but we also develop custom solutions. So for companies who can't quite find the software out there that allows them to do business the way they do business, we
Mhm.
will develop a custom software for them. We will develop custom mobile apps and all of that.
Ah, so you and I need to talk a whole lot more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And this work, we're able to play in a creative space. We're able to think outside of the box, and we're really able to bring solutions. We're doing a lot now, even with dashboarding and reporting, because most small businesses are using 5 or 6 or 7 different systems, but none of them talk to each other. So
Right.
we develop these dashboards that sit on top of all of those systems, but it allows entrepreneurs and CEOs to see all of the data across their company in one place so that
Oh,
they,
that sounds heavenly.
I always say, yeah, I always say that we help them make decisions and not guesses. But the only way we
Oh.
can do that is if you can see your data.
That is so true. And I will say, as someone who's been an entrepreneur now for 23 years myself, Myoshia, I think that it's one, you're visionary, you have these great ideas, whether it's a product or service, and you often don't think about systems until you really need them. Or you're like, oh my gosh, this is not working. I'm not automated. I'm not streamlined. And I think systems are so sexy when it comes to growing a business because without them, you really cannot grow and scale into the 7 figures. And I know like everyone's talking about 7 and 8 figures. I feel like on Clubhouse, everyone and their brother and sister is a multimillionaire. And I'm like, I thought we were in the smaller percentage. But why I'm bringing this up is because I think systems are really at the heartbeat of what allows you to grow and scale to that 7 and 8 figure brand. And I'm so passionate about helping more women sit at that table and helping them create wealth and helping them put it back into society. And so I not only love your story of nowhere to tech millionaire, but I love the heart in which you serve and the solution that you provide small business owners and big businesses as well. But I'm all for the small business owner because oftentimes she doesn't know what she doesn't know.
Right.
And tech and finding those solutions is often a gateway, right, to what it is that she really wants to create.
Oh my goodness, yes, yes. When I often say that, what, we're small businesses, but we don't have to play small. And
That's right.
the only way you're going to change your sandbox, the sandbox that you're playing in, is if you're able to think like a big company, to
Mm.
understand that it takes systems to scale, it takes automation to grow, all of those things. And we just help, we help strategize about, which solutions do I buy, what do I do, how can because a lot of us are just going on and we think it's typical, because we're a small business, that we have to bust our butts day in and day out. We
Right.
just
It must be hard for us. It
it
must be.
it must be. So really, just, I just want to see people work smarter and not harder. I want to see
Mhm.
them play full out. I want to see them be able to, work hard and play hard. So yeah, and technology and leveraging the power of technology allows you to do that.
Yes. You said something I just want to go back and reiterate for a minute. You said you can be a small business owner, but that doesn't mean you have to think small, right?
Exactly.
You can think like a big business, like a big corporation. And I want to just go back and remind people that you are saying this from a point of view of not having a college education, right? Of bootstrapping and building this on your own. And again, that double minority, that is so impressive. And I want people to understand too that this is all possible for them. And as you grew this business, and I'm so curious, did that woman who said, as a matter of fact, how long was she with you as a client?
Oh my goodness, for 9 years, literally 9 years.
9 years. You
And
called
he
her.
referred
Oh,
me.
I just love that.
He referred me to so many other firms that needed my service. It was the best 5 words ever. And
That is so great.
yeah, it was just amazing. Just to see it all come together was
Yeah.
yeah, it was just phenomenal.
Yeah, we've talked about opportunity, we've talked about resilience. Looking at the growth of Antech and where you are now, and opening up actually another chapter in your life as well. If you could, and I know this is a big ask, but if you could boil it down to like three things that you've really learned because you started this literally going and getting your DBA during your lunch break. So I'm assuming that there were, and there still are lots of lessons. But
Oh,
if
yeah.
you could kind of like boil it down to the three things for that startup right now who wants to build a business like you have, what are some lessons that you've learned along the way that have been instrumental to your growth?
So I would say, definitely the three that I spoke about earlier, but even more than that, I think it's important for us as women, and even women of color, but women as a whole. It's important for us to see ourselves the way God sees us. And when we do that, oh my goodness, sky is the limit, right?
Hmm.
So that's the first thing, because we can get caught up in this comparison game, and and all of that.
Yes.
So making sure that we are intentional about seeing ourselves the way God sees us. Secondly is, I think that as women entrepreneurs, in this patriarchal world that we live in, we have to always remember that we are worthy and we deserve to be in the spaces that we're in. We
Mm.
deserve to be in the spaces we are not yet in, right?
Yes, yes.
So, so being able to show up, to play full out, to understand that everything is possible.
Hmm.
Everything. There is nothing we can think of, dream, or imagine that is not possible.
Ah, preach. Yes. Breathe
Girl,
that in today, my friend. Breathe
girl.
that in. Wherever you are right now, I want you to breathe that in. That
Yeah.
everything that you want and that you see and that you feel for your life and yourself and your family is possible. I always say, Myoshia, we're not given a vision without the ability to bring it to life.
Hey, hey, we are not given a vision without provision already.
Yes. Yes.
Already. I love it, Carrie. I love it. And then
Hmm.
I'll also say, and this was big for me because I didn't have anybody to teach me this. So every opportunity I get, I want to make sure I share with women. You have to get your money right. You
What
have
does
to
that
get
mean?
your
What
money
does that
right.
mean? Get your money right.
And what that means is, it means start right so you don't have to get right. I always tell people, start right so you don't have to get right. And all that means is, from the structure of your business, to the way you open your accounts, to the way that you're intentional about not commingling your money, making sure that you are creating a financial paper trail that is going to tell your story. Because
Mm,
listen, when we go out and we seek funding, and all of this stuff, the people at the bank don't know you. They don't
right.
know how awesome you already are. They don't know how amazing your gift is. All they know is what they see on paper. So if we start making sure that we are creating that financial paper trail so that when we slide this proposal in front of them, we look attractive. So many
Yes.
times we play ourselves so small and we don't quite get it right. But I often say we have to learn the rules of engagement. You have to learn how to get in the game so that you're not in
Yeah.
the bleachers, right?
Yes. Yes, that is some really great advice because often, again, when you're starting your business, you're just like, living paycheck to paycheck, bootstrapping it. If you're giving yourself a paycheck at all, right?
Right.
Oftentimes we don't pay ourselves. And that's been one of the most valuable lessons that I have to say I'm still learning. It's like you gotta pay yourself first. You gotta take care of you so that you can take care of everyone else.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So and I'm so passionate about that now, Carrie, about helping women entrepreneurs. Um, just realize how amazing, first of all, this whole game of entrepreneurship, and it is a game,
Yeah.
but it is so rewarding, when you can when you can make it to the playoffs, when you can, when you can play in the championship game, when you can win and when you can celebrate and you have others celebrating with you.
Mm,
The game is beautiful, right?
yeah.
And the games go through seasons, right? So all of your seasons are not going to look the same, right? But you can you can be like the Chicago Bulls and have this legacy where you're killing it year after year after year after year, like the
Yeah.
Lakers year after year after year after year, right? I would love to
Yeah.
see the Houston Texans, but you get the picture.
But we get it. We get it.
Yeah, you
And
get
I
it.
think that goes back to, as you were just saying, like you need to surround yourself with some pretty amazing people. And that's where you and I really come together. We've both surrounded ourselves with other amazing entrepreneurs and visionaries and women in business because yeah, not every season is a winning one. And even if it is, you want people that you can celebrate with that go, "Oh my God, that's amazing," instead of, "Oh, really? Like, what are you doing?" Or "That's crazy," or "Oh, wow." Like, because it is its own world too. And I have to say, from being in the game, like I think who you play with and who you surround yourself with is so important.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Having that circle, having that community, is so important, and it's vital. Like you literally,
Yeah.
no one is an island unto themselves, right? It takes collaboration, it takes coaching, it takes mentorship, it takes,
Hmm.
all of that stuff, partnerships, and just all of that.
Yeah.
It takes us receiving it, but also us giving it to someone else as well. And that's how we all succeed, right? And
Agreed.
it's much sweeter when you're not doing it by yourself.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. And that's something that you're really passionate about mentoring and helping other women in business. Tell me about that. What are you up to?
Oh my gosh, Carrie. So
Your
literally,
whole energy, like your whole
yes,
face, everything, like you're not excited about this, I can
oh
tell.
my gosh, it has been the truest fruition of a desire that I've had. And
Mm,
I've had this inkling and this urge and this kind of, rumbling in my belly for quite some while. And I literally just surrendered to it. It literally took a
mhm.
surrender. But I just launched my business mentorship. It's called Beyond Belief.
Oh,
Literally, literally, I am excited about helping other women create these lives that are truly beyond belief. And
I have chills.
yes,
Inspired living. I really love that.
of course, of course, of course. It's this, and inspired living is so, I mean, it just speaks so much to that because we're able to achieve that. So my
Yeah.
desire is that I'll be able to mentor women entrepreneurs so that they'll be able to, like I mentioned earlier, dream bigger, think bigger, do bigger. It's a 12-month mentorship, and I'm literally going to journey with them over a 12-month period to either start that business that they've been dreaming of, and they
Mhm.
realize that they want to start right so they don't have to get right. And they don't want to have to
Yes.
waste their time. So being able to have someone to that represents that been there, done thatness, that we
Let
need.
me tell you something. It is
Yeah,
a whole lot easier when you've surrounded yourself or you have a mentor who has been there, done that.
exactly, exactly. So that's what Beyond Belief is. I am super excited about it because not only am I mentoring these women towards growing their businesses, and it could be some who've probably already been in business for a moment. They've probably already reached their six figures, or maybe their first six, and or maybe they haven't, and they've reached this plateau and they're really trying to figure out how to grow and scale. Just utilizing all of the lessons that I've learned throughout the years, all of the coaching and mentorship that I've personally received, to be able to offer that to someone else. But the beautiful part of this journey is that we're on it together, because
Mhm.
even while I'm mentoring these other women on how to grow and scale their businesses, I'm doing the same thing with mine. So it's
Yeah.
literally like us locking arms, and we are going on this journey together. But you have someone that's going to help guide you along the way. And the beautiful part about it, Carrie, is that um, I don't have all the answers, but I have an amazing tribe of women around me, you being one, and some of the other amazing women. So we have resources that will meet every need that
Mhm.
that my future clients would have. So I am just
Yes.
so excited about Beyond Belief, and the mentorship is called the Beyond Belief Experience, because it's truly, truly an experience.
Yeah, I mean, you say the word beautiful, and that's definitely how I feel about it. And what a full circle for you coming from nowhere again to tech millionaire, building out this business, having that office close one day and then you walking out of the next one to start your business. Like here again, showing how it really is. We're always everything really does happen for us if we believe that, because it does. And you're just such a beautiful soul. And if someone's interested in learning more about that mentorship experience or they want to connect with you in another way, how do they do that?
So the website is beyondbeliefbusiness.com. Also for my other businesses, antechllc.com and also antechx.com. And I'm on social, either under Antech or Myoshia or even Beyond Belief. I am on all of the social media platforms, and I would love to hear from you ladies. If Carrie and I were able to say anything that is going to encourage you on your journey, I look forward to hearing from you.
Yes, please connect with us, connect with both of us, hearing your feedback. And actually, I would just say it would mean so much if you would post a review on Apple Podcasts, because these conversations, these high level, these authentic, transparent conversations are so needed in the entrepreneur space so other women can see themselves in your journey, in our journey, and that we can all hold each other's hand as we climb the ladder. And that's what I love, Myoshia, about what you're talking about. And the community that we are so grateful to be a part of is, look, you know what, there's enough people, there's enough money, there's enough for everyone, and let's celebrate and hold each other up as we all continue to climb, right? So I just love that. I'm going to wrap it up with my signature question, which is, what does inspired living mean to you?
When I think about inspired living, I almost want to like close my eyes, because I truly think about us receiving inspiration from so many areas in life, and to be able to capture each of those and to use that inspiration to fuel us, right? To
Mhm.
be able to fuel those desires that we have, and those dreams that we have, and those visions that we have, but truly living a life where we're able to excel, personally, physically, financially, mentally, but we're also able to serve our community. I believe
Yes.
that is truly what inspired living is to me.
Mm. And I am with you, sister. Thank you for your message. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for your time. And thank you for being such an incredible example to women everywhere of what they can achieve in their life.
Thank you, Carrie, for having me. It's been a blast.
All right, I'm going to get that hug soon.
Yes, definitely.
All right, thanks so much, Myoshia.
Bye, Carrie.
You've just heard another uplifting episode of Inspired Living with Carrie Murphy, the podcast. I hope you loved it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. And if you'd like to know more about Inspired Living or to get your hands on many of our awesome free resources, such as the Be Studio Ready Guide, simply visit us at inspiredliving.tv/podcast. Remember, your vision is your destiny, and we're here to help you bring it to life. Join me again next week for another extraordinary episode.